If there's something about WWE that stays in our minds over time, it's the moments. They can be segments or even really crazy impactful things that have happened in this whole universe. Well, so for now, I'll stop talking and today I'll show you the craziest moments from each decade of WWE. The 2020s Edge's return. At the 2020 Royal Rumble, a familiar theme song hit and the crowd went wild. Edge, the 11-time world champion who had been forced to retire in 2011 due to serious neck injuries, walked back into a WWE ring for the first time in 9 years, and this moment definitely brought tears to more than a few people. However, the night after his emotional return, Orton welcomed Edge and suggested reforming their old alliance, the Rated. Orton, however, proceeded to betray him, hitting him with an RKO and viciously attacking his neck with a steel chair. The birth of the Bloodline, Roman Reigns returned at SummerSlam and aligned himself with Paul Heyman, reinventing himself as the Tribal Chief. The big dog was gone, and one of the most dominant factions and one of the greatest long-term storylines of the modern era was born. Sami Zayn's rebellion. After months of infiltrating the Bloodline and being accepted as an honorary member, Sami Zayn reached his limit at the 2023 Royal Rumble when Roman Reigns pressured him to attack his best friend Kevin Owens. Zayn refused and hit Reigns in the back with a steel chair. Brock Lesnar and the Tractor. Well, this moment doesn't even need an introduction, you just have to see it. The return of CM Punk and his subdued victory. At War Games 2023 in Chicago, after almost 10 years of absence, CM Punk made a shocking return. Later, at SummerSlam 2025, Punk defeated Gunner to win the World Heavyweight Championship. After this, Seth Rollins appeared on crutches, pretending to be injured. Suddenly, he dropped them. He revealed that it was all a ruse, cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase, and stole the title in what became known as the scam of the century. The arrival of the Wyatt Six. The lights went out on Raw. Nikki Cross guided the cameras to the backstage area, and a massacre of the security staff was uncovered. Eric Rowan, Dexter Lumis, and Joey Gacy stood over the chaos before Uncle Howdy announced the official arrival of the faction. The return of The Fiend, Final Boss, and WrestleMania 40. At the beginning of the year, The Rock returned as a villain and gave Cody Rhodes a brutal beating in the rain in Chicago. The story culminated at WrestleMania 40, where Cody Rhodes defeated Roman Reigns to become champion in a main event full of historic cameos. The departure of Vince McMahon and his last stunner. In one of the biggest real-life twists in the industry, Vince McMahon was forced to resign as WWE chairman. Before being completely exiled, he received one last stunner from his eternal rival, Stone Cold Steve Austin, who came out of retirement for the first time in 19 years. And now we move on to the 2010s. The Nexus Invasion. A group of rookies from NXT invaded Raw, destroyed the ring, smashed the announcer's table, and beat down John Cena, bringing back a sense of unpredictability to the show. CM Punk's promo. Sitting cross-legged on the entrance ramp, Punk said everything that was forbidden to say. He criticized John Cena's marketing, Vince McMahon, The Rock, and Triple H, and even mentioned rival companies like Ring of Honor. All of this before his microphone was cut off. Weeks later, at Money in the Bank in Chicago, he defeated Cena and escaped into the crowd with the championship on the very day his contract expired. The return of The Rock. After years in Hollywood, the Great One returned to the microphone to fire up the crowd and set the stage for the biggest match seen in years. The Undertaker's resilience at WrestleMania 28. Facing Triple H with Shawn Michaels as the special referee, Taker managed to survive a consecutive combination of a sweet chin music and a pedigree, leaving a look of absolute astonishment on Shawn Michaels' face. The end of the streak. This is one of the most shocking moments in wrestling history. Brock Lesnar defeated The Undertaker, ending his legendary and undefeated streak at WrestleMania 30, and fans couldn't believe it. The execution of John Cena. Brock Lesnar destroyed John Cena for the WWE Championship by delivering 16 German suplexes, turning the face of the PG era into a test dummy in less than 20 minutes. Seth Rollins' betrayal and his shocking cash-in. After debuting at the end of 2012 and dominating the roster, Seth Rollins destroyed the faction in June 2014 by hitting Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose with a chair. This would later lead him to make the boldest cash-in in WrestleMania history, which would be called the heist of the century. The debut of AJ Styles, a man who was told for years that he would never set foot in WWE, appeared as the surprise entrant. AJ Styles made the arena erupt completely on the day of his debut. Shane McMahon's leap. Shane McMahon climbed to the top of the Hell in a Cell structure at WrestleMania 32 and leapt off the structure, attempting an elbow drop on The Undertaker. Taker moved and Shane missed completely, crashing through the table and making the moment even more terrifying. The Festival of Friendship. Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho were the favorite comedy duo of the year. During a celebration where Jericho opened his heart to him, Owens betrayed him in a ruthless way, delivering a masterpiece of dramatic storytelling, the return of the Hardy Boys, and the debut of The Finn. The year 2017 saw the surprising and loud return of Matt and Jeff at WrestleMania 33. While at the end of the decade, the terrifying personality of Bray Wyatt, The Fiend, completely unsettled the fans as he walked to the ring. The 2000s decade, the chokeslam to Rikishi. In a Hell in a Cell match at the Armageddon event, The Undertaker threw Rikishi from the top of the cell onto the platform of a truck. The spear in the air. In the middle of the best tables, ladders, and chairs match, Jeff Hardy was left hanging from the titles 6 meters high. Edge jumped from another ladder and delivered a brutal spear to him in the air. Stone Cold made a deal with the devil. That same night, the most controversial main event in WrestleMania history took place. Stone Cold, the ultimate rebel against authority, shook hands with Vince McMahon and turned heel to win the WWE Championship. Shane McMahon buys WCW and jumps off the Titantron. Shane appeared on the final episode of WCW Monday Nitro, announcing that he had bought the competition before his father did. Shortly after, at the Backlash event, he showed his complete lack of self-preservation by jumping from the top of the giant screen. The ring collapse. Brock Lesnar delivered a superplex to Big Show from the top rope, causing the entire ring to break and collapse under their combined weight. The first briefcase cash-in after John Cena survived a brutal elimination chamber. Edge ran to the ring, cashed in the first Money in the Bank contract in history, and became champion, setting the example for the future of that stipulation. The ECW Revolution and the return of John Cena. Rob Van Dam defeated John Cena for the title at the ECW One Night Stand event in front of an extremely hostile crowd. Sometime later, in 2008, Cena surprised the world by returning from a serious pectoral injury in just 4 months, entering as number 30 in the Royal Rumble held at Madison Square Garden. The giant senton bomb and Orton's kiss. Jeff Hardy climbed a scaffold on the Raw set to launch himself onto Randy Orton. At the end of the decade, Orton took things to a personal level by handcuffing Triple H to the ropes and kissing his wife Stephanie McMahon right in front of him. The 1990s. The barbershop window. During an interview segment hosted by Brutus Bifke, Shawn Michaels betrayed his Rockers tag team partner, Marty James, throwing him straight through a glass window. The Montreal Screwjob Shawn Michaels put the sharpshooter on Bret Hart. Even though Hart never gave up, the referee called for the bell on direct orders from Vince McMahon to take the title away from Bret before he left for the rival company WCW. This event was real and broke the fourth wall, changing the way people viewed professional wrestling. The debut of Kane and the fall of Mick Foley, a gigantic red figure surrounded by fire, made his debut by interrupting The Undertaker. The following year, in a Hell in a Cell match, The Undertaker himself threw Mick Foley from the 5-meter-high cell roof directly onto a commentator's table. The leak of Mankind's championship. In a taped episode of Raw, Mankind defeated The Rock to win the WWE Championship. The result was intentionally leaked by the competition, WCW, on live television, but the strategy backfired as it caused millions of viewers to switch channels to watch Foley's historic victory. The Madison Square Garden incident. The Clique, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Kevin Nash, and Scott Hall broke the business's code of confidentiality by hugging in the ring despite being on-screen rivals during the farewell show for Kevin Nash and Scott Hall in WWE. Vince McMahon was furious about this and punished Triple H for months, transferring his push in the company to a bald wrestler from Texas named Steve Austin. The birth of the Attitude Era. After winning the King of the Ring tournament, Stone Cold Steve Austin delivered his iconic Austin 3:16 promo, saving the company from bankruptcy and starting an era full of bold moments. Confrontations with Mike Tyson, DX invading WCW, and Austin soaking Vince McMahon's corporation in beer.